Manchester United, a name that once struck fear into every opponent in England and across Europe. For 2 decades, they were the giants of world football. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, the club built a dynasty unlike anything the Premier League had ever seen. 13 league titles, 2 Champions League trophies, and a style of dominance that became the standard by which every other club measured themselves. Back then, Old Trafford wasn't just a stadium. It was a fortress. Teams knew that when they visited Manchester, they weren't just playing against 11 men on the pitch. They were facing the weight of history, the roar of 70,000 fans, and the tactical genius of one of the greatest managers of all time. But fast forward to the present day, and that aura is gone. Instead of dominance, United are defined by instability, underperformance, and confusion, both on and off the pitch, which raises the question, what is happening to Manchester United? To understand the crisis of today, you have to go back to the glory year. The Ferguson era was built on more than just star players. Yes, there were legends like Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Eric Cantona, and Cristiano Ronaldo. But what truly separated United was their identity. They developed homegrown talent through the class of '92. They had a clear philosophy of attacking football, and they were relentless winners. Season after season, they set the bar for English football. Sir Alex didn't just win trophies. He rebuilt teams multiple times over the decades. From the Cantona era to the treble-winning side of 1999 to the Ronaldo and Rooney years of the late 2000s. Every time people thought United were finished, Ferguson adapted, refreshed, and came back stronger. That's what made him unique. His teams evolved with the time, yet the mentality never changed. Win at all costs. The rivalries of that era defined English football. United against Wenger's Arsenal, Mourinho's Chelsea, later the rise of City, and more often than not, Ferguson's side came out on top. Even when Liverpool dreamed of returning to glory, United kept them at bay, proudly singing about 20 times, while their rivals were stuck in the past. But when Ferguson retired in 2013, the dynasty collapsed almost overnight. The man who had been the glue of the club for more than 25 years was suddenly gone. His replacement, David Moyes, lasted less than a year. From that moment on, Manchester United entered a cycle they still haven't escaped. Hire a new manager, give him money, lose patience, and start all over again. Louis van Gaal brought discipline and experience, but his football was dull and his time short-lived. Jose Mourinho brought silverware, the Europa League and League Cup in 2017, but also division, negativity, and eventual chaos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tried to restore positivity and connection with the fans, and for a while he gave supporters hope with that famous night in Paris against PSG, but his tactics and lack of experience caught up with him. Erik ten Hag arrived with a reputation as a modern, tactical coach from Ajax, and even delivered a Carabao Cup in his first season. But inconsistency, poor recruitment, and clashes within the squad saw his time unravel. Even recent years show the same trend. Antony was brought in for £85 million from Ajax, a player ten Hag trusted, but one who has consistently failed to deliver at Premier League level. Sancho, signed with huge expectation, ended up in a public falling out with ten Hag and hasn't come close to living up to his price tag. Together, they represent exactly what's gone wrong. A club paying massive fees for players without a clear plan of how to use them. Meanwhile, rivals were building smart. Manchester City had a long-term plan with Pep Guardiola. Liverpool gave Jurgen Klopp time to implement his philosophy. Arsenal trusted Mikel Arteta, even through early struggles. United, by contrast, hit the reset button every 18 months. The result is a squad built by half a dozen managers, full of mismatched players with no clear identity. And over all of this loom the Glazers. Since their takeover in 2005, the American owners have been deeply unpopular. Instead of reinvesting profits into the squad and infrastructure, they loaded the club with debt and drained money through dividends. Old Trafford, once the pride of English football, is now leaking, literally. The roof is in need of repair. The training facilities lag behind most Premier League teams. The disconnect between ownership and fans has grown so toxic that protests are a regular sight, with chants of "Glazers out" echoing around every corner of the stadium. Before nearly every big match, fans can be seen marching, waving green and gold scarves, desperate to be heard. By the middle of the 2024 to 2025 season, the board had seen enough. After a string of poor results, Erik ten Hag was sacked. His dismissal in October marked yet another failed attempt to restore Manchester United to greatness. Only weeks later, in November, Ruben Amorim was brought in from Sporting Club, seen as a bold young manager who could bring fresh ideas and stability. For many fans, this was supposed to be a turning point, a clean slate that would give United a chance to rebuild. But instead of sparking a revival, Amorim inherited chaos. The damage had already been done earlier in the season, and United never recovered. His ideas clashed with the squad, confidence was rock bottom, and the cracks were too deep to fix in just a few months. When the 2024-25 campaign came to an end, Manchester United had collapsed to 15th in the Premier League, just 42 points, 16 defeats, and their lowest finish in over 30 years. For a club of United's stature, it was nothing short of humiliating. They even lost the Europa League final to Tottenham, missing out on Champions League football yet again. For many, it confirmed what they already feared. This was the worst Manchester United side in modern history, and yet the problems run much deeper than just one coach. This is a club that has lost its identity. Recruitment has been chaotic for over a decade. Ownership has been destructive, and the culture of patience has vanished. Every rival seems to know who they are, but United don't. On the pitch, the statistics tell the story. United are leaking goals at the back, struggling to create chances going forward, and often relying on individual flashes of talent rather than a clear system. Confidence is at an all-time low. Old Trafford, once the theater of dreams, has become a place where even mid-table sides feel they can take points. Some of the defeats have been symbolic. Liverpool's 7-0 demolition of United in 2023 remains one of the darkest days in the club's history. Manchester City have repeatedly outclassed them in derbies, showing the gap in quality, structure, and ambition. Matches that used to define United as the dominant force now serve as painful reminders of how far they've fallen. The frustration for fans is overwhelming. Many grew up in the era when Manchester United didn't just compete, they dominate. Now they are watching their clubs slide further and further away from the top as rivals like Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal leave them behind. United, once the gold standard, are now struggling just to stay relevant. The player situation makes it even worse. Alejandro Garnacho, once seen as a symbol of the next generation, has already left the club. That leaves Kobbie Mainoo as the brightest young hope for the future, a midfielder with enormous talent who could become the heartbeat of a rebuilt United. Alongside him, Amad Diallo has shown flashes of potential, a tricky, fearless winger who could grow into a key role if given trust and time. But the burden of restoring Manchester United is far too heavy for two young players alone. And that's the deeper tragedy. United used to pride themselves on youth. You can't win anything with kids, they said in 1995, and Ferguson's side went and proved everyone wrong. But now, the pathway from the academy feels broken. Talents come through, but instead of being nurtured in a winning culture, they are thrown into a dysfunctional team with impossible pressure. So far this season, 2025-26, United's struggles have continued. They suffered a humiliating League Cup exit against Grimsby Town, a 4th division side, a defeat that will go down as one of the most embarrassing in recent memory. The image of United players trudging off after losing to a team so far below their level summed up just how far this club has fallen. In the league, they have lost to Arsenal, drawn with Fulham, and managed a hard-fought win against Burnley. These early results highlight a team still trying to find its footing under Amorim, with moments of promise but a long road ahead if they want to challenge at the top again. But fans aren't even asking for titles anymore. They're asking for stability, for identity, for a reason to believe again. Manchester United's story is one of incredible highs and painful lows, from the dominance of Ferguson's dynasty to the constant managerial chaos of the past decade to the humiliations of the present day. Right now, the club is standing at a crossroads. Can Manchester United rise again? Can they rediscover their identity, modernize their structure, and finally give a manager the time to build? Or has their time at the top truly come to an end? Because one thing is certain, what once was the theater of dreams has, for now, become a theater of nightmares.